Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. Again, we want to thank everybody that's watching us over at Patreon. Patreon does get access to all the videos, and we do put up exclusive videos several times a week over on Patreon. So again, thank you guys for your support over there.
Thank you so much.
And so here we have NATO planning to mobilize 90,000 soldiers for biggest military exercise since the end of the Cold War. Multiple sources are talking about this, and some survivalist channels are saying, get ready, here it comes, get ready, here it comes. Well, yeah, it's, again, that slow-moving train wreck that is gaining speed, and we can see there's just, what's happening is there's so many hot points that are getting hotter, and we have more different situations developing, like the one we were talking about yesterday on the last video that we did, that we're going to be following up on here as well. And I just wanted to point out, we are going to get into a period of a lot of disruptions. Yeah, and this is something that now it's absolutely time, if you haven't started any sort of contingency plans for lack of normal service, whether that's, again, utilities, real shortages like we really haven't seen. I mean, yeah, sure, we had a TP shortage when the plague upon the land hit, and yeah, there were some, and we have consistently seen basic goods go through the roof. But 2024 is going to be a year of serious shortages and serious disruptions.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're seeing it now. It's like the ratcheting up of energies. And, water. I look at water. It's so very important. We need that to wash our hands. We need it to wash our dishes. We need it to wipe down clean areas. Having backup to your water, so very important. Some sort of heat backup, some sort of lighting, just, have those things tucked away and be as ready as you can be. Dry goods, very important. People relish their coffee, it seems like, so make sure you have extra coffee on hand, survival coffee, things like flour, sugar, all your dry goods, cocoa, have those. But before you go out and order a whole bunch of stuff, make sure you have a way to store it. That is so important, because this time of year, the bugs and the critters, they are looking for warmth and food. And if you don't have a proper way to store your stuff in plastic or something like that, where they can't chew through, they're going to make themselves home in your home.
Yeah, and everything that we bring up, it's just, again, I feel like we have to elaborate on. So, like we don't have any sugar stored. We have like one small bag of organic sugar, but we don't really use it besides occasionally in baking a bread or something like that. We really use pretty much just organic maple syrup and organic honey, organic agave here and there. But all of it sparingly. I mean, we might go a month without using any sweeteners. We might go more than that. Just because, again, sugar is something that will lead to inflammation. It'll lead to disease. It is one of the prime culprits in feeding that you do not want to feed in your body. And getting back over here, you see attack of Russian electronic warfare, almost half of Poland, and the Suwalki corridor were left without GPS yesterday. It makes me think again, do you have an old map in your car or your truck? Do you have one, period? Because we all rely so much on technology now. And yeah, they are going to move forward with their plans of the enslavement of humanity using technology. But in that interim period, they will be cutting things off in different locations. And I think if we are in a NATO country, we're going to see service disruptions a little bit more than maybe the rest of the world, especially in, say, 2024 and early in 2025. I do think, again, make sure you got a map if you need to. Make sure you have backup gas, things like that. We've had our own wake-up calls as we dealt with frozen pipes, and, there's just always so much to prepare for. This is the bottom line, but, this is what's going on. Now, Russia yesterday tested the operation of its electronic warfare systems from Kaliningrad, which is an enclave that's kind of separated from the rest of the country over there in the Baltic. And as a result, almost half of Poland and the Suwalki corridor were left without GPS. It's just so obvious. I still think that the original timeline that we've been sharing with you guys for a long time now, I think going back a year and a half, which I do think that it really hits the fan in April of this year. That's when we're going to see, going from this building phase to outright explosions, big explosions. Not that we already haven't had explosions, but I do still think April feels like everything shifts to just a whole new level. And here is the WEF. They invited an actual, witch doctor there to cast magic spells on the panelists. Well, Cindy has something to say for this. Now, again, recognize, I think they'll do it saying, okay, they're honoring indigenous traditions around the globe in an effort to combat climate change and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the reality is the system knows how our reality works. And they understand that a walker between the worlds can have a lot of power and influence on what happens on this planet.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. I cannot understate that these beings, they are very, very gifted, but they also have the free will on which direction do they want to use their gifts. I can tell you they would never have someone of this caliber with this gift up here unless it was advantageous to their efforts and to their journey. So no, she's not casting spells against them. She's helping them strengthen their resolve in their efforts in creating this. So, I mean, with that said, that does not leave us absolutely hopeless. I mean, prayer and intention are very, very powerful. And I think the ball is starting to get bigger. That snowball, people are starting to understand how important their prayers and their intentions can be and the power they contain. So we have this ability to push back, but she is very gifted. This person here, I can't say enough about that. So it's like we are up against something here.
Yeah, and in fact, again, the control structure, these secret societies, they employ as many gifted, quote unquote, people as they can to work behind the scenes in structuring our reality. And this is just a fact. And whether we're talking about, again, CIA, FBI, all these other branches which all work together, the federal agencies of the nations around the world, again, whether we're talking the US, UK, Russia, China, any of these nations, they all really do work together in the bigger scheme of things. It's down in the lower echelons where they think they're actually competing against each other. No, they're moving forward, and it might appear that they're not moving forward in unison, but even acts of war are moving forward in unison in their bigger plan.
And I just want to reiterate that I have nothing against this person and their abilities. I mean, we are all very unique, and I think we all need to explore who we are and understand who we are, understand our power, so that we can utilize it to, protect and help those that might need it in their own lives. But we all have free will in using these gifts that have been handed down in some way, shape, or form. And when I say gifts, it's because, yes, it is gifted through lineage in a different way. It's not that she's more special. It's just there's a lineage there, and it has built upon in her bloodline, and now it's built up quite a force.
And also the past lives of the soul. That's the other part to this too. Because there are many beings that have taken incarnation just simply to be at this time period in order to awaken humanity to the spell that really has been upon it for thousands of years. And meanwhile, questions are arising. What's up with Trump's hand? Looks like he's got like nasty scrapes. Did he take a spill? Did he take a fall? All sorts of things going on there. Are they sores? Magic marker? Was he playing with the great grandkids? Or I don't even know if he has great grandkids, but et cetera, et cetera. Lots of questions there.
Oh, this is definitely a message. This is a wider message, and it's almost like it's hard for me to explain what he's doing. It's not a dare, but it's something that he had to do. There's some sort of karmic or moral action that's going on here that I'm having trouble grasping, but it's deliberate.
Well, it's the right hand. Again, there's a major chakra in the palm here for sending energy, and somebody that is right-handed. You can receive and send with either hand. It's just through intent. But typically, if you are right-handed, that's where you're sending energy through in energy work. Bloody right hand, it could be a message, absolutely symbolic, something there. I do agree with Cindy. Meanwhile, we were talking about Iran and Pakistan. And, Iran and Pakistan are the 14th and 9th most powerful militaries on the planet. Pakistan is a much larger country population-wise than many people might know. Over, I think, 225 million people, around 95 million people, something like that. And, yet they are pretty close together, well, obviously with the border there, but as far as the military power, I think most would expect that in a third world war, they would probably be on the same side as, again, Pakistan is more likely to go to war against India because Pakistan is predominantly Muslim and India is predominantly Hindu. Whereas Iran is, again, predominantly Muslim, as is Afghanistan and the other surrounding countries. Yet here you have the Iranian army announcing 7 people were killed in a missile strike by Pakistan. Now, this comes after we were talking about just the opposite in the last video. Well, tensions appear to be growing as this tweet from Mario Nawfal is saying a Pakistani drone strike devastated an Iranian village. Every time I look, the number seems to be growing up with the amount of people that were taken out in this strike. As Pakistan releases footage of guided artillery strikes conducted against Iran today, targeting Baluchi forces. Now, again, there are forces from other nations in a lot of these Middle Eastern countries, and you got to realize the U.S. has had forces in over 90% of the countries of the world for quite a while, consistently. So that's huge. That is huge. And what's going on right now is a changing of the guard. But the changing of the guard is really, it's just another stepping stone is really what's happening. So, is this really Iran and Pakistan about to go into full-fledged, war, which Pakistan is a nuclear power, by the way. I don't know. Something says this is something a little different there. As you see scenes of rocket and drone attacks on the Iranian city of Saravan. Because what I think is going to happen is you're going to see an almost completely unified, at least unified to a really large extent, Islamic, as this decides to go off, Islamic attack on Israel that won't stop at Israel but rolls into Europe. I think that's part of the bigger plan because, just like Taiwan is not really as important as they would make you think it is in the bigger scheme of things, because China really wants to control all of Australia, Canada, the US, all three. one of the three, two of the three. Taiwan is just, it's peanuts in comparison. So it's not really about Taiwan, and it's not really about Israel either. Because again, Israel is just a tiny little sliver of land, as Gaza itself is a tiny little sliver of land that had 2 million people living on it. And obviously the atrocities going on there are all about unifying the Islamic world and unifying the BRICS nations. It's about unifying everybody as much as possible to say this has to stop. And with the U.S. and the U.K. all the way to the very end supporting Israel, it's going to make for a lot of interesting verbiage after the end of the war, because, again, you have obvious crimes against humanity going on, and whether we ever see a second Nuremberg trials, in what will that look like? It might not look like what we are hoping to see. It might be very, very different. And again, we cannot trust our eyes in these days when it comes to the computers, when it comes to Bluebeam. As we've shared, people talk about Bluebeam, but Bluebeam's on every single day. It is on. And people do catch glimpses of planets that are really there. And there are motherships up, around the planet that they block out all the time. So yeah, this is another step. Absolutely, is it exactly what they're saying? I don't think so. I feel there's some misdirection going on here, as some reports are that Iran has shot down perhaps 2 Pakistani Air Force jets. We'll see. There's going to be global revolutions going on. You're going to have, the Third World War underway, and yet you're going to have within so many countries on the globe internal revolutions, which may overthrow alliances. This is exactly the chaos that they are intending on bringing in. Pakistan upset with China, as Made in China radars deployed by Pakistan failed to intercept missiles and drones fired by Iran on airstrikes night. Yeah. There's a lot going on. Ultimately, what they want to do is they want us to wipe ourselves just completely out so they can rebuild from scraps. Again, they've already given us numbers, and they only need 1 in 8 or 1 in 10 to have the planet function to the degree that they intend. So that's a lot of excess population in the eyes of the control system. And here you have Ecuador's president, in case we forgot about it. We do need help. Yeah, his government is still doing their thing against the cartels. So they say this is... here he is. He's asking for equipment and training and weapons. We're not ashamed to say so. We understand, his alliances. So you have Ecuador openly asking. Obviously, Ukraine's been doing their thing. And then, of course, Israel. The entire world is screaming for the military-industrial complex to just start producing more weapons. So what? So we could wipe ourselves out. This is pretty damn obvious. More people are waking up to this. And don't forget Venezuela and Guyana here. This was just a couple hours ago, this post. Because, and again, that's another area that you have UK, US looking at, US, UK offering military support for Guyana as Venezuela looks to annex half of a country. Yeah, this is World War III, no matter how we want to, officially label the starting point. And then we see illegal immigrants overloading the healthcare systems, where they're turning people away. They can't help them because, again, they're housing migrants, and then just even trying to help the migrants. Well, the whole migrant situation is a UN plan. I mean, we know this. This is all part of the big redo. The big redo that means a lot of doo-doo for you and me.
Mm-hmm. a definite do-over is, I think that's what they called it when we were little and in school. Can I have a do-over? Yeah, it's kind of like that, but not in a nice way. But when it comes to the hospital and the healthcare system and seeing that disturbs me a little bit more than a lot of things. I think this is something internal. I think I'm picking up energy in it that's significant. If they can have that healthcare system overwhelmed, it's definitely going to lead to a bigger advantage than other things. You know, people have huge, we're not an advocate of the Western system, but people do break bones, people do have emergencies, and they're good for that. But yeah, I mean, this is a part of a much, much, much bigger plan.
Absolutely. And so this is David Icke's take on the Malay speech at the few there. And he says, I heard that his speech at the few champions freedom, so I listened. It doesn't. It seeks to move more power controls from the governments to corporations. If you listen carefully, that's what's happening anyway. Yeah, what he doesn't say is that governments and corporations are owned by the same global cult. Yes, absolutely. And they've come straight out and told us. They've said the world of the future is one in which, well, you know, governments are no longer needed in a national sense. That's gone. The power is going to lie with the corporations. It's a corporate world. And also, you don't have to bother going out and voting anymore because AI will tell us who you would choose anyway. So don't worry about that. You know, it's all, again, you're not going to own anything because we're going to own everything. And this is how they're shifting. And yet you have people, unfortunately, that can't put the two and two together and see through this obvious WWE style ruse. And that is the reality of it. 5,000 soldiers protecting the members of the few in Davos. That's out in the open. There's a lot of other weaponry that we can't see that really is protecting them. As, you know, this is all part of their plan. Nearly 300 million year old, oldest known fossilized reptile skin found in an Oklahoma cave resembles that of modern crocodiles. Yeah, it might have walked upright though. Just saying.
Just saying.
Oh yeah, and this is cute. This is children without internet. We were talking about that in war-torn Yemen, and how they looked healthy though, and even with, you know, lack of resources. Well, you know, they also seem happy. Yeah, a lot of people in third world countries are healthier and happier, even though they literally have a challenge for, you know, supplying enough food and enough clean water, et cetera, et cetera. The planet could support all of us easily. I think the planet could support double or even triple the population if it was using resources wisely. But when we understand and read into germ theory, and we understand and read into terrain theory, what has happened is they have created a terrain on the planet that is toxic. So the inhabitants of the planet tend to be sick a lot. And it's going to be in the more densely populated, urbanized areas where people are exposed to the most frequencies, the most toxic air, water, etc., etc. And this is stunning artwork. It's all about perspective. It does look like a crack in the wall, but when you get closer and take a look, you realize that it's not what you're looking at. You're looking at something entirely different from what it appears to be, and that's the whole global situation.
I think this is a really good example to help us check and double check if something hits you a certain way. Are you sure it is what you think it is?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's about developing our own abilities and not relying on information of any sort. See what resonates with you. Go deeper. Develop your own, what is, in most people, latent abilities, though we know people that are just amazing, and so many people that are regular watchers, subscribers, and also people that we work on and work with energy work and spiritual coaching regularly have incredible abilities that would blow people's minds. I mean, incredible abilities. Like we asked one of our dear friends, can you send some energy? The pipes are frozen in the bathroom, and then boom, okay, they're thawed out now. This is what we have the ability. We have the ability to do things that most people would think are impossible. The only reason we can't do them is because the system itself has taught us that we can't. Well, the system wants us to think that we're far less than what we are. But the reality is, oh no, just going back to that witch doctor, we have amazing powers and abilities. And if we utilized them all at the same time, we could remove the system itself. And so please do put out your intent that humanity is free and happy from the system, and the planet is restored to true harmony and balance.
Indeed.
Source bless. Namaste.
Namaste.